Thanks.
But yeah, it's about like that many.
6 or 7? Okay. So we need, is it 6 or 7?
I'll tell you in a moment. 6.
Okay. So we need 6 people? Okay. What's in your bag?
I'm going to see a lady friend for her birthday.
Huh?
So I bought stuff for my lady friend.
Huh?
So I bought stuff for my lady friend. I'm going to see her for her birthday.
Oh. I mean, what do
To
people,
buy all this stuff.
what do people?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to church.
Thank you.
Please silence the cell phones. And no food or drinks on this side, please. Bathroom outside that door to the left. Anyone who wants to move up, please feel free. It is a fellowship. Keep the mic around here for questions and answers and responses. And take it away, Jesse. Woo!
That's funny. Good morning. Welcome to church. I am Jesse Peterson. You can get involved by going to our YouTube line, our chat line on YouTube, all right? And Hake will get the questions and comments and get them to me. I do appreciate it. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
How's everyone? Nice. So I need 6 people to read 6 different verses. Can I get hands for 6 people? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice.
Y'all got Bibles?
Y'all brought your Bible? You brought the word? Okay, what's the first Bible verse? I mean,
Yes.
thing.
Ephesians 4:31.
Okay, you do Ephesians 4:31. All right. And what's the
The
second
next one is Ecclesiastes. Is that how you say it? Ecclesiastes 11:10.
Ecclesiastes 11:10. And what's the third one?
Next one is Romans 2:5 through 6.
Romans 2:5 through 6.
The next one is Deuteronomy 31, verse 8.
Deuteronomy 31, verse 6, right?
Verse 8.
Verse 8. And oh, you don't have a Bible? No. You don't have your phone either?
I could do that one.
Okay, Nick
I'll
will
do
it.
Ephesians.
Nick will do it.
The next one is Philippians 4:8.
Okay, I have a purpose for this. We're going to do something we have not done in a long time here.
Ooh,
all right?
and Jeremiah should be yours, Jesse.
I'm sorry?
We forgot ours. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Both of y'all forgot?
Yours is Ecclesiastes
The
11:10.
man forgot too? No wonder the woman forgot.
Wait, are you two separate? Are you two different ones?
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes and your Ecclesiastes 11:10, Romans 2:5 through 6. Beta.
So the reason for this today is that I'm having people read the Bible verses because of this religion of anger that's being pushed. It's just everywhere now. People believe that it's okay to be angry, and they don't realize that salvation is of the heart. And it wasn't like that in the good old days, but it's totally like that now. So that's why I'm gonna have we talked about them on the radio show as well. And my desire, I hope for y'all that you wake up and become individuals, become your own man, your own woman. And until you pull aside, you're not gonna be able to do it. Until you, in order to enter heaven, you got to go through hell. You're not going to enter heaven until you go through hell. And a lot of people are unwilling to do that. I had this amazing, deep conversation this weekend with Joel. He black. And, and I've had interesting conversations with other people, but when you have a conversation with a true seeker, you know it. And it was very, very interesting. And I realized that anyone that truly wants to get there can go there. And there's nothing on earth that can stop you but you. It starts with you and it ends with you. It was an amazing conversation. And it just caused me to want to read these out even more so. So what I want to do is, because so many people believe that anger is good. I've never seen that many people be deceived in my whole life. The whole world is deceived, except for a few, all right? When I say you can't get into heaven unless you go through hell, does that ring a bell with anybody? Does that mean anything? It's a fellowship, so y'all can relax. Does that mean anything to you when I say, in order to get to heaven, you got to go through hell?
Yes, you need to be tested, and if you're not tested, you don't.
Speak up
you
a
don't
little
find.
bit from the chest.
Yes. The way I think about it is, in order to experience heaven, or at least the path that leads to heaven, you have to have something else that you can compare it with, and that's the test. And those are the tribulations that we go through.
Okay. And this your first time here?
It is.
Oh, welcome. What's your name?
Thank you. Neil.
Neil, welcome.
Thank
How
you.
did you find us?
I saw an interview on one of the Fallen State interviews.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I've been watching
Amazing.
since.
Well, welcome, man.
Thank you.
When I say you can't get to heaven unless you go through hell first, what do I mean by that? What do you think I mean?
To me, I think it means basically like laying down your life. So ego, like all of that. And that's because when you really let that go, it's like nothing really affects you.
Absolutely. You got to go through the ego death. The ego death is hell. And then you will rise, and then you will live. Absolutely. And a lot of people are unwilling to go through the hell. And they say, oh, it's too hard. When will it end? How long will this last? They ask all the beta questions, right? Instead of just being committed and going through it. But you got to go through it and no way around it. So what I want to do is read these scriptures for you. You got the first one there? Yeah. And what's the first? What are these scriptures to prove?
Oh, you want me, the point? Well, we read them on Thursday, and I guess I was making the point that throughout the week people were saying that emotions were fine.
Oh yeah,
And
it was
the
about
Bible-
emotion.
The Bible points against it. So.
Emotions are not good. Really. They don't work for anyone. But yet people try to make emotions work. It's crazy. I'm up here and I'm down here and I'm up here, I'm fighting, hate you, love you, hate you. That's not normal. I don't know why anyone would accept that as normal and try to make it work. That's insane. Anyway, so the first one is what?
Ephesians 4:31, get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and
Speak up a
slander.
little bit from the chest.
Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice.
See there? All that stuff is emotion. It comes from emotion. But the world tell you, and preachers tell you, oh, Jesus was angry. But how you going to get rid of all that if you don't get rid of anger, if you don't overcome anger? Life is not working when you have anger. Here. Oh, right here first? Oh, okay.
So this Ephesians 11 and 10,
Speak from the chest.
right? Nick? No,
Ecclesiastes 11:10.
I'm sorry. Ecclesiastes 11 and 10. So refuse to worry and keep your body healthy. But
Speak from the
remember,
chest, a little louder.
a little louder. So refuse to worry and keep your body healthy. But remember that youth with a whole life before you is meaningless.
Amazing. It's all in the Word. It's in the Word. And you hear the Bible thumpers say, I read the Word. You believe in the Bible? And yet, yes. Right? Yeah.
Romans 2, 5 and 6. But because of your stubbornness and your unrepentant heart, you are storing up wrath against yourself for the day of God's wrath. When his righteous judgment will be revealed, God will repay each person according to what they have done.
Yeah. Amazing.
British person.
Right here. Hey.
Which one was mine again, Nick? Deuteronomy?
Yeah, I got you. Deuteronomy 31:8.
Deuteronomy 31:8. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you.
Nice. And the last one? That's the last one, right?
There's one.
One more? Hassan
The
got
big
that.
one.
Okay.
This is Philippians 4:8, King
Okay.
James Version. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there are any virtue, and if there be any praise, think of these things.
Amazing. So there's no virtue in anger. There's nothing pure in anger. Nothing good in anger. Do not let anyone tell you that anger is good. And you can overcome it. You got the last one, Hassan?
What's the last one?
Jeremiah 17:9.
Raymond has the actual word here.
Oh, you didn't pull it up already?
No, I didn't know what it was. I don't have my phone.
I don't think I might not have told him that one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I mean, you
Jeremiah-
just read it.
Yeah. Or do you want Raymond to read it?
Okay, Jeremiah 17:10, you say?
17:9.
17:9, okay. Just give me a minute.
Amazing. We'll come back to it. He doesn't have it yet.
I got it.
Okay.
The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick.
So what now?
The heart is deceitful above all things.
Amazing.
Who can understand it?
Nice, huh? So how many of you still struggle with anger? Okay. I'm glad. Thanks for your honesty. And when you say you struggle with it, what do you mean?
That I'm not able to catch it all the time. I just overreact instead of being still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how about you? You still struggle with anger?
Sometimes it's just something happens and
A little loud for me?
just something happens and it's a little bit more of a response than appropriate for the situation. Yeah.
And what do you do when that happens?
Well, I'm noticing it more, and then I guess I'm a little bit more resolute. Instead of dwelling on it, I just make an action and move forward.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yes, sir. You had your hand, right?
Yeah, as far as anger.
You still struggle with it?
At times, yeah.
And how do you struggle with it?
I think I'm impatient.
You're impatient?
Yeah, with a lot of things. People, traffic, small things.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
And how do you know you are impatient?
I think I could see myself separate from it, and I dwell in it, and then
Oh.
it'll go away. I'll let it pass. And that's it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you had your hand? And you still struggle with anger as well?
Yeah,
And
I
how do you
noticed.
struggle with it?
Well, the dumb things. yesterday happened to me, and I realized that how angry I was, and it was just somebody cut me off in a McDonald's drive-through. And literally, I got so angry because everybody was waiting in line, and we were leaving this gap because it said keep clear. This guy just came and cut me off, and I got out of my car, and I literally went up to his door, and I started screaming at him. And as I'm doing this, I'm seeing myself like that crazy lady, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm walking back to my car. I didn't only go to him. I went to the McDonald's person and said, you shouldn't even take his order. He should just have to go through. And then I was walking back to my car, and I saw my grandson in the back seat. Didn't even dawn on me. I mean, it did, but then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be one of those impressionable moments that he's never going to forget. What an idiot. And then, so I got in the car, and he goes, oh, you should have punched him. And I said, no, that's not what we do. I was wrong. And I just, I told him how wrong it was. But yeah, that was so dumb.
How old is he?
He's 9.
That's amazing. And so that's too risky nowadays to go up to people's cars.
Yeah, I know, but at that moment, I was really angry. And I didn't think it through at that moment. Walking back, I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's amazing that anger can make you do that.
Oh, I was the crazy lady. I was at that moment.
And what did you learn from it? Did you learn anything?
What did I learn? I know that a year ago I wouldn't have been walking myself and acknowledging or the vision of what I just did. I would have escalated more and more.
Yeah.
But coming here and being in touch and doing the silent prayer, I think it just points out a lot quicker than I would have a year ago.
Absolutely.
I push judgment on myself, but then I don't make excuses now. I just take responsibility for it.
Nice. So. The one thing that Joel and I talked about yesterday that was real interesting is that once you wake up and you overcome things, there's nothing to go back to. And because you mentioned the silent prayer, and now that you know, at least you start to catch yourself.
Yeah, I can catch it. I caught it quick yesterday and wanted to just go under a rock. But the face of that child, seeing him, and then him being all, because I was escalated. Now he's escalated, and then I've got to not only talk myself down, I've got to talk him down and explain how wrong I was. And it's humiliating. It's embarrassing.
That's what anger will make you do. Mm-hmm. The spirit of anger will make you do some crazy things. Amazing. Nice. And the young lady here, you had your hand, right? Okay. You still struggle with anger?
I think sometimes nowhere near to before, but I think thinking that I'm over the ego death, and then I'm not, and then I quickly realize that I'm not, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so painful. Like, I thought I was done with this. And I think for me, it's like the same as the lady was saying, it's about reacting emotionally and then realizing after I'm like halfway in or at the end of it, I was like, well, that was dumb. Yeah. So like, I'm trying not to like beat myself up about it, but be happy that I see it so that I can like try and deal with it.
Right.
And then move forward.
And you said that sometimes you think you're done with it?
Yeah, like I felt like, okay, I went through this like, 4 or 5 months ago. I dealt with a lot of different things, and I thought, okay, I'm done with the ego. Like, although that was very painful, I thought I was done, right?
Right.
And then I realized that like I've judged somebody without realizing I've judged them, or I've judged myself, and then I fall back out, and then I go around this cycle, and then it's very painful. So I'm just trying.
It's painful going through the cycle?
Yeah. I'm trying to get out of some of the loops that I keep finding myself in.
Right, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Anybody else raise their hand about struggle with anger? You still struggle with anger?
I do.
And how are you struggling with it?
By realizing that I'm still always makes mistakes that and do stupid things I consider stupid, and worse, judging myself for it.
Okay, amazing. Interesting. I'll get back to that in a minute. The biblical question, do you look at the problem or the solution? No. We asked that at the end last week, right? Did we answer
Yeah,
that?
that was the assignment.
That was the assignment, yeah. Do you look at the problem or the solution? How many people look at the problem? How many people look at the solution? Oh, okay, nice, interesting. Do you look at the solution or the problem?
I don't know.
Hold on 1 minute.
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't really had a chance to think about this. This is my first time hearing it. But
This your first time here?
hearing it.
Oh, hearing
this
it. Oh, you
biblical
wasn't
question?
here last week?
Yeah.
So you didn't hear the assignment?
Nuh-uh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing on top of my head right now.
Right on. Did you do the assignment? Uh-huh.
I wasn't here last service as well.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I think I look at the solution.
You look at
I
the
don't-
solution?
I try not to think about the problem too much.
Oh, okay.
Because I notice that if I do, then I'll start to get down about whatever the issue is, if it's an issue.
Yeah.
So I try to focus on what I can do to help.
Right
and
on.
then my attitude about it.
Oh, okay. Nice. We had, Joel and I had a deep conversation about it. It was funny, but it was deep. I'm glad to be dealing with this. Raymond, you say you look at the solution?
I look at the problem first because it's impossible to find the answer unless you're willing to understand the question.
You look at the problem.
Yes, I do.
Why you look at the problem and not the solution? Oh, you just said because it's impossible to find the answer? Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So did you look at the problem or the solution, the young lady?
I think I would take a moment to look at the problem so that you can like analyze it, but then I would say most of my time I would like to focus ideally on the solution so that I can
Okay.
fix it and not have to do it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. How about you? You had your hand, right? Do you look for the problem or the solution? Do you look at the problem or the solution?
I think if you have any sense, you're going to look at what the problem is, or you could just be made aware of what the problem is.
And which one
once-
do you look at, the problem or the solution?
I look at the solution, but I also am aware of the problem.
Okay, but you look at the
But
solution.
I list the solution. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. You had your hand in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you look for the problem or the solution?
I look for the
This is
solution.
fun. And I'm not bragging or anything, but I love working on my life. Really, ain't nothing like it. There's nothing on earth like it. Anyway.
I look at the solution. And I mean, as a father of a 19-year-old son, now that he's graduated from high school, I want the next 5 years to be great for him. So I'm trying to coach him through life, right? Because he's a little bit naive still. And the two things I want for him are find a good job and find a good woman, right? And
You
I'll
want all
preface
problems for him, huh?
I'll preface this by saying that my son is a busboy at a restaurant in LA.
Why do you want to find him a good woman?
Well, I'll explain. My son is a busboy at a restaurant. He makes $15 an hour plus $10 an
Don't
hour.
be telling all his business.
Well, he makes $25 an hour.
But don't be putting all his business out there like that.
It's fine. But what I'm saying is that he works at a restaurant, and I asked him, hey, are you dating? He goes, no. I goes, anything interesting? I goes, no. Well, actually, this girl. I goes, okay, so who is this girl? I says, oh, Michaela. He goes, oh, okay. I goes, who cares? I'm transparent. I don't give a crap, right?
But he may care though.
Oh, he doesn't care. We're transparent. We can talk. Real men can talk. You're beta if you can't talk straight.
Amazing.
So I don't care. I mean, he doesn't care either.
And
right?
so
But
long
anyway,
story short,
so I
though-
want him to find a good woman.
Why?
Because Well, I don't want him to. I mean, let's face it. We're in LA, and in our restaurant, we talked about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and they're the most dysfunctional couple in Hollywood. So I don't want my son to meet an Amber Heard kind of woman, right? You know, like, you know.
But listen, why don't you lead that up to God and not to him?
No, because then he makes mistakes that can be avoided.
But if he waited for God to add a woman to him, if that's what it meant to be, he won't make a mistake.
The devil's is working as well. So not only is God working, but the devil's working, and the devil works sometimes faster than God does.
Which is best for
right?
Which is best for him, to let God add a woman, or for him to look for one?
It's fun for me, as far as I'm concerned. It's Dad's got to get involved.
Which is best for him, for you to add one to him, or God himself?
No, it's for me. For me.
Oh,
I
and
mean,
why,
like for
why
example,
is it better for you to add one than God?
Well, because the devil works faster than God.
Oh,
right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, because God sometimes takes his time, and I don't want my son to be.
Why do you say that?
Because God will let you make mistakes for 5 years, while.
No, he'll let you do it for a lifetime.
Or actually, lifetime. You're right. I told my son.
But he'll also prevent you from doing it for a lifetime.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, what I want from my son is 3 things: looks, personality, and humor. And if he gets a woman that just has. No, that's those 3 things. I don't want an Amber Heard kind of woman. You know, the one kind of woman that goes, oh, I don't want him going like, like I told my son, I goes, you don't date coworkers. And he goes, why? And I goes, because that's a good job, right? You don't want to lose it, right? I goes, so what does that mean? Sum it up, Dad. I goes, don't crap in your own bed, okay? Like Amber Heard does.
Okay.
I goes, you know what? It goes, what do you mean?
Hey, come back.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And I goes, what do you mean? It goes, I mean, you can't afford to lose this $25 an hour job because you're dating a coworker. Find some other girl outside of work, right? Looks, personality, humor, but not just looks, right? And then boom, we're good.
Okay.
I mean,
thank you.
Sorry.
Does he take your advice?
Yeah, he does. I mean, he didn't date anybody at work. I was surprised. I was like, you didn't date Michaela? I goes, how old is she? And she goes, she's like 24.
Hey,
I goes,
come back.
Oh, you're dating a cougar?
Hey, come back. We got to move on.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Man. Yeah, I know. You got to overcome that.
Yeah, I have to. It's just, I'm worried about it.
Don't be worried about it. Are you doing the silent prayer?
I'm not doing the silent prayer.
Well, no wonder. Why not?
I don't have the patience yet.
Wait, so
Oh, sorry.
where are you at, Hassan? Where are you? So you're not doing the silent prayer?
What's the question?
Are you doing the silent prayer?
No, I'm not.
And why not?
Impatient.
And do you expect to develop patience before you do it or after you do it?
Probably after I do it, probably.
While giving your son all this bad advice, why don't you
It's not bad advice.
But why
I don't want him to date Amber Heard.
No, go right there. Come back. Why don't you do the silent prayer if you want to give your son sound advice?
I give him solid. I can.
Why don't you do the
I think it's pretty
silent
solid
prayer?
advice what I'm giving him. Looks, personality, and humor. That's any
I
ideal
know. Come
woman.
back. Hey, why don't you do the silent prayer so you can give him the right advice?
I think the right advice is looks, personality, and humor.
No, I'm asking you, why don't you do the prayer so you can be sure to give him the right advice?
There's no one here that disagrees that looks, personality, and humor.
I'm asking you a different question though. Why don't you do the silent prayer?
Because I don't have the patience for it.
And how are you going to develop the patience if you don't learn to be still?
That's true.
No, that was a question.
Oh, jeez, you're killing me. You're killing me. Jesus. By the way, I like those prayer quotes you said, those 5 or 6 prayer quotes at the beginning of the service.
So how will
that
you
killed me. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was like blown away by that. I was like, this guy's a genius.
How would you develop patience if you don't learn to be still?
It's a process.
What's the process?
It takes time.
So you can develop patience without learning to be still?
No.
So what's the process then?
Because some people take from point A to point B. Some people got to go to
What process
A, B,
are
C,
you
and D.
taking?
Well, because what process am I taking? Oh my God. Jeez. What process am I taking? Life is complex. I'm trying to make it simple.
But what process are you taking to become patient?
Well, I'm not reacting like I used to for a lot more things due to this church.
But what process are you taking though?
The process is I'm not overreacting. Because before the church, I used to overreact to things.
Right.
Now with this church, I don't overreact to something. There's still some things I react to, but there's a lot of things, like Satanic Sabina, I don't react to her anymore.
Well, do the silent prayer so you don't react to anything at any time.
Okay.
Do it so you can overcome that completely.
Okay, but I still think as a father, you should still advise your son from
You
age
should.
18 to
If
23.
you ask, yes, absolutely, but you want to make sure you're giving him the right advice.
Or better advice.
The right advice.
The right advice.
The right advice is better advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying that I don't know how many of you guys have 18 to 23-year-old.
Listen, hey, come back.
Sorry.
You want to give him the right advice. So do the silent prayer so you can give him the right advice. All right?
Okay, as long as he avoids Amber-style girls, I'm happy.
Hey, don't worry about that. Give him the right advice.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Amazing. Do the silent prayer, man. You're on your way. Do the prayer.
If you give your son those advice about a woman, seek looks, personality, and humor, those things might become his God. Like
They
those
will
traits,
become, 'cause they're
yeah,
so
will
shallow.
become his God. There's nothing wrong with looks, personality, and sense of humor in a person, but if that's what he seeks, and he might make that his God, within women.
No. 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 We'll come back to you in a minute. Okay. So do you look at the problem or the solution?
I find that whenever go forward to the solution and try to figure out stuff, that I'm not recognizing that a lot of times I'm the problem.
And so do you look for the problem or the solution?
Both. Sometimes the problem, so to recognize the problem, sometimes the solution. But if I'm too much in the solution, sometimes I find that I'm actually the problem.
Yeah.
And
okay.
whenever I'm too much in the solution, I don't recognize that I'm the problem.
Okay. Amazing. Right here, right behind you. Do you look for the problem or the solution?
I look at the problem. I look
okay.
at the problem so
And why
that I
not
does.
you don't look at the solution? For the
No,
solution?
I look at the problem so I don't repeat it. So I focus on the problem, and the solution will come. It will come on its own. I think if you can recognize the problem.
Okay. Amazing. Anybody else have their hand? Okay. You had your hand? Okay. Do you look for the problem? Look at the problem or the solution?
I look at the solution.
And why?
Because in the moment, I want to just get out of the problem.
Okay.
And the solution is the fantasy that I'm creating that's going to make me feel better.
Oh, okay.
Even though last week when you said try it for a week, I did for this whole week. And just looking at the problem, and I can see that there's no solution. You just got to sit through the problem.
Oh, absolutely. You got to sit. Yes, ma'am. Did you have your hand? Okay.
Well, I'm just saying
You look
that,
for the problem, or you look at the
Well,
problem or the solution?
I just want to say a comment because I said it to Amber and she wanted me to tell. But it's like Satan's working like to get to you. God's waiting for you. So like Satan's like coming after you, but God's just waiting for you to turn around and go to him.
And what does that mean?
So that's like God's not coming after you, be like, hey, come to me. But Satan's more like that, and God's just waiting for you to like, just like come to him. He's not going after you, so then you will come to him. But
And so are you waiting for God or Satan? Give me an example of Satan's work. Let me ask you this. Do you ever get angry?
yeah,
Is that Satan or God?
Satan,
And how do you know it's Satan?
because God isn't angry.
So why do you still get angry? How old are you?
10,
10. Why do you still get angry? What can make you angry?
like really, basically anything.
Anything can make you angry?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Remember I told you when anger comes, just let it pass first? Are you trying that?
probably not, no.
Probably not. And why not?
Don't really think of it at the moment.
Yeah, I understand. Well, work on that, okay? Since you know, and it is the devil, it's not God. And so just watch that, and if you do give into it, just realize I shouldn't have given into it, and you'll be fine. Amazing. Do you look at the problem or the solution?
So you asked this question last week at church, and I remember what you had said, and then I've been thinking about it all week, and I shared it with some friends, and even now thinking about it, you suggested to look at the problem, and I'm seeing that, in looking at the problem, we see ourselves in it, and we can really, overcome, what that problem is, and then the solution should not be ours anyway. It should be God's solution. So we should be turning to him for the solution.
So do you look at the problem or the solution?
I've done both.
Which do you do now?
I guess I look at the problem because that points me to the silent prayer, and then I just try to watch it like a movie.
Okay, amazing. Yes. Do you look at the problem or the solution?
They're the same thing.
They're the same thing? What do you mean by that?
That kind of like what they were saying about when we realize why we're creating the so-called problems, by seeing that is the solution.
Okay. Yes, right here.
I'm still smoking on it.
You smoking on if you look at the problem or the solution?
Well,
Did you do the assignment this week?
I do, and I did.
You do and you did?
Yeah.
He black.
First, I have to.
He Mexican.
First,
do you look at the problem or the solution?
I'll just tell you my process. First, I kind of have to find out what the problem is, because a lot of times the problem will appear, and then I'll have a conversation with Satan about it, and then he'll confuse the heck out of me, and it blows it up, makes it even worse. And so when I let that problem just kind of walk away and not dwell on it, then the solution appears. Oh, I can do this, and this is for physical things. I had to clean up a yard. And
So do you look for the problem or the solution?
I look for the solution because it's the least costly. I have to pay for things, and so I look for the solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Nick? The anger baby.
Hi. Yeah, I did try your assignment this week. Well, first I went against your assignment and suffered. And then I tested the spirit that way.
Nice.
And then I had no choice but to just not look for the solution. But what I'm getting at, without saying too much details, I guess it's I just try to go straight to a solution in a situation this week, for example. And it didn't work. It made it worse. And instead, I just decided to say nothing, and it worked out.
Okay. How about you? And this is fellowship because I want you to know that you know that you know that you know that you know. That way you don't tell your son or daughter to look for a person. Yes. Do you look for at the problem or a solution?
I forgot about the assignment, but I actually came across something that basically I ended up looking at the problem.
Speak from the chest.
Is this better? I ended up looking at the problem. I forgot about your assignment, and it wasn't until I went through this thing and I sat through it, and I had no choice but to look at the problem at myself. And in just seeing that, it came and it went, and I learned something through it. And then once I reflected, I realized that I could have reacted, like I could have internally, emotionally reacted to whatever was going on, but all of these things that I was being shown, I had no internal reaction to it. It was true what I was seeing and what I was noticing, but it didn't sway me this way or that way. I just saw all these things. And then when I came out of it, that little slight heaviness, whatever it was that I felt, was completely gone. And I've completely forgot about all the things that I was feeling in those moments.
Okay.
And once it washed away, that was it.
Okay. Here and then there, and then we'll move forward. Yes. You look at the problem or the solution?
I would say look at the problem.
You look at the
Yeah.
problem. And why do you say that?
Because I, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is a problem. So why is it a problem? And then I don't really resort to a solution immediately. I just think like, what is happening, But now I realize like it's your mind that's telling you it's a problem. It's really not. It's just right or wrong, and then just do whatever was right.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I would say I personally look at the problem, and from there the solution materializes. But I think there's many directions to a solution, depending on the situation.
Meaning what?
Well, for example, like at work, right? There's a trillion different ways to get to what I need to get to, and I just have to get through it just to find that. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
can't present the end result without walking through there. So
Okay.
that's me.
Amazing. Did you have your hand? Oh, okay. Do you look at the problem or the solution?
I answered it last week, and I said I didn't have any problems, and I did forget about the assignment, but I don't see myself as having any problems. I just do what's in front of me.
And so, you don't have problems, so you don't look at the problem.
Yeah.
You just have solutions.
But before when I did see myself as having problems, I looked at the problem first.
Okay. Amazing. So there, yes, you want to respond. Way in the back with the red shirt. Did you have your hair?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. You're killing me again.
Do you look at the problem or the solution?
I mean, I look at the solution. I mean, I look at the problem too, but I want to minimize the problem, so I look for a solution. And my son is, I don't know what, I mean, like I'm trying to figure out, what to do as a parent, of course.
All right.
And I mean, as myself, I look for the solution. I mean, I of course I look at the problem, but I definitely look at the solution because I want to minimize the pain and
do you ever find the solution?
Yeah, lots of times I find
And
solutions.
you say you want to what'd you say about the pain? You want to
Minimize the pain.
Minimize the pain. And why?
Because pain is not good.
Why not?
Because it's unpleasant.
It's not good because it's unpleasant?
Yeah, I mean,
What's
yes,
unpleasant
you have
about
to
it?
endure pain to get to God, but I don't think it should be like a 5-year process, whatever, to get there. And when it can be like,
How quick you think it should be?
well, I want to do it as fast as possible. Los Angeles is a dysfunctional place. I don't want to spend 5 years of dysfunctionality right? You know, there's a lot of dysfunctional women and lots of dysfunctional men, and I don't want to be that one or meet those kind of women.
All right. Okay. First of all, when I ask the question, it's not about practical solution like working on a job or things like that. You know, you have to fix that in a practical way, but you don't live by that. Once that is finished, you're done with that. I'm talking about the imagination, the spiritual problems. You should never, ever, ever, ever look for a solution in spiritual things. Yeah, right. That's another excuse. But you should never do it. You should look at the problem. And what you're going to find, if you're committed to this, that there are no spiritual problems. It's an illusion. The real you don't have one problem at all. It's just not you, the ego you that has problems, and you think that is you having the problem. And because you think that you are having problems, then you have them. Because you think it. If you never thought it, you would never have a problem. Thinking is wrong. The worst thing you can be doing in your life is thinking. The worst thing. Because all thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. And so when situations come, the first thing, if you notice, if you really, really pay attention, I don't care if it's a good so-called good situation or a bad one, Satan give you a thought about that right away. Oh, this person is so nice, they just gave me flowers. And now you love that person. You're so happy, your ego jumping up and down. And then that same person come and does or say something that you don't agree with, you hate. Satan tell you, oh, that person is no good. They just went off on you. Now you want to jump out your car and go to the window and kill them. Because of a thought. All thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. The real you have no problems. And be careful not to let the devil tell you who the real you is. Because he'll say, okay, this is not you, but this is you. You're nice, you're kind, you're loving, you're this, right? And you'll believe another thought, and now you're trying to be that because you believed into a lie. All thoughts are all lies all the time. The sooner you start doubting, the sooner you start doubting thoughts, then you shall be free. And so when I say all thoughts are all lies all the time, I'm not just talking about go forgive mama, go forgive daddy thoughts. I'm talking about every thought that you ever have and ever have had. It's all lies. You're holding on to something that's not you. Emotions, feel good, down, up and down, are not you. Fear is not you. If you notice, fear comes with thoughts. And thoughts is about time. What has happened or what will happen. It's never eternal. They always make you think about what did happen and what's going to happen. And the moment you believe thoughts, now you're overreacting. And then while you're doing that, he will throw another thought in, and another one in, and another one. Now you want to jump off a roof somewhere. And so you should never look for the solution, because looking for a solution, you're going to have to go into thoughts. To look for, and we've been taught though by the world, our parents and everybody, don't look at the problem, look for the solution. And as some of you have already said, once you find one so-called solution, you just create another problem. Now you got to find another solution and another, and none of them ever work. Oh, I'm lonely, I'm gonna get married and have kids. And you go out and get a woman that's pretty with a job, and you catch hell. Or a woman get a man that has with a job, she catch hell. Because the thought told her that's the answer to the solution. It's like when you're lonely or something is missing, you say, the devil tell you, oh, get married and have a family and you'll feel better. Because your family wasn't that good. You need to create your own family and you'll do better, right? And so you go out and get a woman to get a family, and all you do is create hell for yourself. Or the woman get a man. If I could find me a good man, I'll be fine. And this man that you go find look good until you get with him. And all hell break loose. Because you're listening to the devil and looking for a solution. You can't find a solution. You got to overcome the hell. And you're going to see, it is so amazing. You're going to see that there is no you. And when I say that there is no you, don't let the devil tell you, well, what do you mean there's no you? And then go around saying, oh, there's no me. And when you're by yourself, you're lonely, you're angry, you're mad. Lying to yourself about there's no me. You know what I mean? Stop looking for solution. I don't mean solution to how to fix the house or what furniture and that kind of stuff. But I mean with life itself. Yes, ma'am. Then I come to, you had your hand? So, oh, okay.
I wanted to know, so what, do you get signs or something? Because I'm seeing, things are different for me.
Yeah.
As far as ever since I've opened my heart, now I don't have problems or solutions, but I do have, and it's not a feeling, it's a sign. It's almost like a direction. And I just don't know. Sometimes I have to pull myself away from it because I'll be doing the same thing I did maybe a month ago, and there's a vision of a direction or something, and it's weird. It's just weird. I don't know how to explain it. So are you given not a feeling, but are you given any hints to, I don't know.
This is an interesting question. When you doubt every thought, then the light is on and you just see. Okay. There are no voices. It's just seeing. You just see what to do. Even when you start a business, it's a mistake to get in thought about a business. You just do every day, do what's in front of you to do, and that business will unfold by itself. And you won't get a sense of life from it. And you make millions of dollars, but you won't have any thought about the business or the money. So if you should lose it, it'll be no big deal because you got no identity from it at all. It came about. And so that way you can't be threatened with it and all that kind of mess. Right? So the light is just a light unto your feet. You just see without even thinking about seeing. So don't even give any thought about, oh, I can see. You know what I'm saying? So what now?
I said, because then it's a thought.
Then it's a thought. And all thoughts are lies. It's like the young lady was saying, well, I thought I was over this, right? That was from the devil. You are over that. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm over it. And the moment she believed a lie, the devil got her doing something else. That makes sense? Yep. Yes, ma'am. And another thing I just want to add, it's like to see is not complicated. You don't worry about a voice or is it that or is it this. It's not even part of your thinking at all. You're just living without any opinion, ideas, or anything. Yes, ma'am.
So I just had a quick question. So for young people that, eventually want to be married, what's the best way in them going about it? Just kind of just going about
not wanting it.
So not having a desire to be married?
Right.
Okay,
Those
that's interesting.
desires come from the devil.
So just to clarify, you're saying that if you're a young person, male or female, that you shouldn't be desiring to get married, but you
That's
should
right.
just be going about life and
Yes.
God knows what you need and it should just unfold.
It'll unfold.
But what happens if you get to like 27 and then like you're still not married? You know what I mean? Like
It wouldn't matter. Remember, Paul said it's best not to be married. But
don't you think we were created to... I know there's specific people that have the assignment to... I know we all live for God. I don't know if I'm explaining this the right way, but certain people can be unmarried and can, go through life and do God's work. But don't you think that most people, when they're young, are created... Like we're taught, I guess, as Christians from a young age that the women should be married and we should have children and blah, 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 blah. Like, but if you're a young person and you desire to be married, you're saying just to go about life, and if it happens, it happens.
Right.
Okay.
Because in that desire, you putting that before God and everything, you're going to end up getting married, but it's going to be hell for you.
So when
And then
you,
if you don't get married, you're going to judge yourself. Oh, I'm old. I don't have anyone that love me. I don't have any children.
so then let me ask you this then, from your perspective, if a young person finds somebody, or that person shows interest into you and you like them back or whatever, how do you know that that's the right person?
By not knowing. Just date them without any expectation. And
But
whatever.
you got to make a commitment at some point in time if you're going to get married, right? So you kind of want to at least have some idea.
But that's what dating is for.
Okay.
If you should date without any expectation, then you would know if you should marry this person or not. But if you date with an expectation, you're going to marry the wrong person. It's not going to work.
Okay.
See, what it is, life has its own self. Life will unfold by itself.
Uh-huh.
It really will. And if you allow that to happen, if you get married, you'll be fine because you would have done it the right way. He wouldn't have any expectation of you, and you wouldn't have any expectation of him. But you would see each other, you would know what the real deal is. And then if it meant to get married, you get married, it will last until death do you part. Because but if you have an expectation, once you get married, you expect to be treated a certain way. You expect to be talked to a certain way. You expect this and that, and that's when the fight starts. But if you have no expectation, you get married and it'll work out because you will have no expectation. You don't expect that man to love you, and he doesn't expect you to love him. So you never try to appease one another. But yet you're grateful.
Interesting.
What's this about?
Just that whole concept, because that kind of goes, not against, but it's right, like us raised as Christian women, and obviously I'm already married. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand the process so that I can make sure that I'm giving the right opinions. Like when me and Cheyenne talk about different things as women, like, and other young women that I know who are not married and want to be married, etc. Like that I'm giving the right advice if they're asking me for it. If that makes sense.
The only reason those women want to be married is because they're looking for a father's love. They have that love missing, and Satan is telling them marriage is the way to go.
But don't you think that there's natural?
A good man, you'll find love, right? And then they marry these men. These men don't love them.
Sure, but don't you think there's like natural desires as men and women that we have, you know, to be married, to be with somebody, but under the right context?
That's an natural desire. The only reason you're desiring that because you're in a fallen state. And that's why the fallen state was allowed to happen. Because if you were not in the fallen state, longing for love, you would never get married because nothing would be missing. And then God would have to continue to create man with his hand, right? But he let that fall happen so that men and women can come together in that fallen state and make a bunch of babies and then overcome that fallen state. It's not meant for you to stay in that state.
Okay.
Because if you had perfect peace, you would never get married. You would never desire it. It wouldn't even be a part of your thinking because you wouldn't be looking for love. You wouldn't be looking for approval.
Even if you were in perfect peace, though, like, wouldn't you just want somebody to share your life with and do things with and have children? Like, isn't that something that God gave us as a blessing to be able to have children and enjoy somebody else's company?
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
Like
this is so good. I'm loving it.
like having a husband, right? Like I get to enjoy somebody else's company. I get to enjoy my husband's company. We get to do lots of things together, right? And then have children of our own that are a blessing. Like, so I'm a little bit confused to I guess how to think about it, like your thought process in that we shouldn't, like we've always been taught that it's not wrong to desire a husband or a wife. It's just.
I know you've been lied to.
Well, yeah, maybe so.
What would happen if your husband didn't do all those things with you?
I mean, I'd be all right, but
No, you'd be ticked.
but my
He's not
life is.
paying me any attention. He never take me out to dinner.
But then life would say that there's something wrong with that, right? If we were together, and then can you wait a second? If we're together and then he all of a sudden stops, like we stop hanging out or we stop going out for dates, like what would like that's not a relationship, right? That's not marriage, right? Like we're a partnership, not a partnership, but we are husband and wife. So in being husband and wife, yes, I shouldn't have any expectations of him and vice versa. But at the same time, if you love that person, you're going to want to spend time with them, right? You're going to want to go out and do dates or hiking or whatever else. You know what I mean?
If you loved him, you wouldn't desire any of those things. And so if it happens, you would be grateful.
Yeah,
but
if it happens, I'd be grateful.
you would be grateful as well. It wouldn't be as though something is missing. It would be a different, it would be a great relationship because nobody putting pressure on each other to do something to make me feel good. Oh,
Sure, yeah,
why you got to go hiking and I never go?
I understand that, but I'm saying if he stops showing interest, then I'll be like, well, where are you at? Like, what's going on? Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
But if you had real love,
Uh-huh.
if he stopped showing interest, it wouldn't be a big deal because it didn't matter anyway. You were already at peace.
yeah, I'm already at peace, but
No,
at the
but
same
if
time,
if
that's
he's-
my.
and I hear that a lot too.
That makes sense to me.
I hear that a lot when the men and women are dating,
Mhm.
and the men giving the women all this attention, or the woman giving the man all this attention, but when they get married, now they hate one another. They only want to be in the same room. Or the man is not bringing flowers, or he's not saying, I love you. You didn't treat me like that when we were dating. Why are you switching up now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because something else was missing, not what they think was missing. Wait, let me just finish with this. And you've been taught wrong. And that's why you have expectation from one another. And when they don't meet your expectation, all hell breaks loose.
So that all makes sense, and I do agree with that. And I am definitely working on like not having an expectation, and anything we do together is an add-on to my life, and I hope that I'm an add-on to his life, and we enjoy each other's company, etc. I get that. I agree with that. But at the same time, if he didn't show any interest at all, I'd be like, well, what's going on? Like, are we good, or like where you like?
But what's going on should be with you. Why am I acting this way? Because he's not paying me any attention.
But what
How
if I
come
wasn't acting
feel
any
like
kind of way?
something is missing because he is not acting the same way? It's an opportunity for you to sit in judgment of yourself and not look at his action.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? It makes sense to you? If not, I want to hear from you. So
I do agree. I do agree that we shouldn't have any expectation of each other, and that took me a while because we were talking about that a while back, and I do agree with that, and I do agree that when we have reactions or thoughts or feelings within ourselves, then we need to look at ourselves and deal with ourselves, and that was another massive ego death and concept that I had to come to, that if I have a reaction, then, or even any of us in the house have a reaction, the problem is within us.
with us, not that
Not
person.
that person. But I'm struggling a little bit with like the basic, if I have no expectation of him and he has none of me, when I don't understand, like if he started to show no interest but I hadn't changed anything about me, right, then I'd be considering
divorce.
I'd be considering what's wrong, you know?
You'd be
like,
wanting to divorce and take the children and make them pay child support and take the truck, the dog, and everything. I ain't gonna leave him with nothing.
no, I would never do that.
You would if you had expectation.
I don't know.
Relationships and marriages and things like that, they work better with no expectation. Neither party expect anything from the other. You would naturally treat each other right.
That's good. Ooh, that's good.
You've been lied to.
I think so, yeah, because like growing up in church since I was 8 or 9, somewhere around that age, and learning, that you save yourself for marriage. You wait until the right person comes
Right.
along, and you know, it's nothing wrong with desiring to be married and have children.
They lied to you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then they made you build all these desires, and then you get the man, and if it doesn't go your way, it's a mess. Because most of the time, the man don't want the woman because she's a good woman. He want her for the other thing. He only want her for the other thing. He doesn't care that she's pretty. That's nice. But he only want one thing. And once he get that, everything changes. And the woman think this man love me. He don't love you. Because if he love you, he would wait until marriage anyway. What? And then I will come to you.
I think though, like, I understand what you're saying. I know that's a massive part of that, but at the same time, like, most men that are getting married now or they're dating, they like the person, right?
No, they hate each other. I'm telling you for a fact, they hate each other.
So then how is any young person supposed to, like, get married?
Well, that's why you're in the fallen state, so you get married in fake love.
So for somebody who is going through this process of the ego death, who are understanding all of these concepts that you're teaching, are they supposed to, I feel like, and we've discussed this before, that there's not many people that are understanding these principles, right? And these ideas. Right. So if you're a single young person, male or female, should you be joining yourself with somebody that understands these same concepts, or are you setting yourself up for failure if you marry somebody who doesn't?
If the parents were good examples of that, while the kids are growing up, they're going to be whatever you are. You don't have to teach them, oh, you better learn how to cook in case you get married. You better look for a husband or a wife.
No, but I'm talking about...
You just be that example for them, and if it's time for them to get married, it will happen naturally, but it will happen as your example was for them.
Sure, but I'm not talking about my children. I'm talking about my children marrying the opposite sex. That should they be marrying people that understand these concepts and ideas about forgiveness, going to your parents?
They are not going to marry anyone that understand these concepts already, because that person understanding will never get married.
One minute, say that again. You're like damning everybody.
If you have overcome the fallen nature before you get married, you would never get married.
I don't know if I agree with that.
There would be no need for looking for love. It's looking for love that caused you to get married. It's something that's missing in you that caused you to want to find something to make you feel better.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that any young person in here right now, let's just say there's 6 young people, 3 guys, 3 girls, they've all overcome the fallen state. You're saying that none of them should marry each other?
Not that they should, but they wouldn't.
Why?
Because there would nothing be missing. There would be nothing to draw them together.
It's not about necessarily being missing. It's about adding to your life.
Adding what to your life? Hell?
Adding, you know, like
it's
having
having
friendship, having deep friendship with somebody, or having...
They'll be good friends, but it won't be an identity. So
are you saying you can't get married to somebody without having that changing your identity?
Repeat that.
Like I'm saying, like let's just say those 3 young guys and 3 young ladies in here, they're all like not siblings or anything like that, and they marry each other. So you got now 3 sets of 3 couples, young couples.
Right.
They shouldn't get married?
Not that they shouldn't, but if they have found, they love the father, they love the mother, there's nothing missing, right? And so they would not get married because they're not looking for anything.
No, but what if they're not looking at anything, but they want to be good friends? And
they'll be good friends, and so they'll be good friends because they're not expecting anything from the friend. They're just friends, right? And they're not expecting anything. So if the friendship ends, it wouldn't be like, they wouldn't be mad about it. They wouldn't be lonely. They wouldn't feel like, why my friend turned on me? It wouldn't bother them at all because they had no expectation from the friend, and yet they were good friends.
Okay. Something to think about.
Isn't that amazing?
I don't know if that's amazing. Right?
What do you think about that?
I agree with her. I feel like
I feel like in the Bible, obviously, there's Adam and Eve. Obviously, Eve did what she had to do. But I feel like God put man and woman on earth for a reason.
Right.
And if there isn't a reason, then why are we here?
He put you on here to create love through you, number one. And number two, for you to what do you call that? Reappropriate.
Reproduce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that can only happen in the fallen state, though. Something has to be missing to bring you together. If these kids learned, if they were fulfilled with love, they didn't hate their parents, they would never want to get married. But if they hold on to that anger until they become adults, they're going to find somebody to love them.
So how did, back in the days, how did it work out so well? I mean, because now, my generation, no one's really getting married.
Right.
No one's having kids.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good question. And it didn't work out.
Yeah, we are suffering. We're not going to have any kids, and the kids that there are, they're bad
In the
as
good
hell.
old days, it worked out well, but not so well.
Right.
They still had arguments
yeah.
and stuff, but what the difference was is that they knew to love one another, not to hate one another. Meaning that if something went wrong, you know that it wasn't that person. He or she could not help themselves, so they would try to work it out. Whereas now you're being taught hate, and ain't no working out.
Right.
You're
That
not
I
even
understand.
taught love today. You're not taught to pray for your enemy. You're taught to hate your enemy, hate your neighbor, rather than praying for your neighbor. And so they were willing to work it out because they understood it was a spiritual battle. That doesn't mean they didn't have spiritual issues. It's just that they were taught by their parents and others, like with the whites and the blacks, right? White and black people wouldn't call each other racists and white supremacies or all that mess. They knew it was a battle between good and evil. And so they loved one another, and they saw that, well, this person got issues, I'm going to stay away from them, but I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to try to hurt them. They can't help it, it's not them. And so when husband and wife I seen husband and wives fight.
Oh, yeah.
But when I was growing up, but they understood what was going on. So they weren't so willing to break up and put all their business in the streets and all that kind of mess. They didn't try revenge. But now you've been taught hate. Anger is good, right? And that's why revenge and all that stuff come in when you do break up. Take the children away, take the house, the cat, the dog, and make you pay.
Yeah.
They used to not do that. What?
I don't know. I honestly, I just.
Y'all can totally disagree, 'cause I totally understand the disagreement.
I feel like, okay, let's say, we have a young couple here.
Right.
What if they're thinking about marriage? And then now hearing you, it's like, well, forget Nick and forget,
They should be glad for the warning.
But if they know the problem, like you said, they see the problem, they're able to work through it. Why not, go through with that?
Oh, that's so interesting. That is so.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, and this guy was telling me that he's meeting these girls, but he can't go after them like he used to. He can't build their egos. He can't buy them flowers and tell them how pretty they are, right? And he noticed that when he doesn't do that, these girls get naked for him. The next time he see them in the street, they got a halfway thing, or tight. And they're just trying to get him, right? But if he doesn't respond to that, they get mad at him and start speaking. But he can't do it because he can't cater to the ego. It's going to have to happen naturally or not happen. And the girls cannot handle it when the guys don't chase them because their ego is not being felt.
But it should be one guy and one girl.
Wait, let me just say this. Yes. And so with the young people, if they do get married, it's because they have not overcome that. They still have that anger and stuff. And so they're still yearning for one another. Or they know what the truth is. And if they do get married, they are not going to have the same desire to control each other. And they'll make a bunch of babies, and then they'll stop having the sex thing, and their marriage will be perfect. They know that that's not love. So they won't be deceived and thinking that they don't really love each other that way. It's all fake. And so when that runs out, and it will, they'll say, well, you know, fine, I didn't never love you that way, no her.
Jesse,
It won't be
how are
perfect.
we rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man with this? I mean, I love him, and
that's a good
I
question.
get it. Eventually, that passion and that spark is gonna
It's
die
supposed to
down.
die,
but
period. And
Well,
then he'll
I
love
get
you.
it, but-
he will love you with real love, and that
Right.
love will be everlasting.
exactly. I mean, because we're not perfect. We're human. We're not perfect. So I get that, and I love him for who he is. And he better, no, I'm kidding. He better not, but. And I mean, but I speak for myself. I love him for who he is. And we all have faults. But how are we showing, okay.
How we showing what?
Our kids that it's okay to be married and to be, yeah.
By being
just,
right. You're showing them the light instead of the darkness. And so they'll become whatever you are.
Be an example.
Being right. Your spirit is a spirit of love and not of anger, which is hatred. And that will destroy them. And they'll repeat the same mistakes.
Okay.
What do you think?
Okay.
Listen, you can't understand this with thoughts. You cannot understand this with thoughts. Yes, sir.
So this is kind of along the lines of the same thing my wife was saying. The more I notice that I start to love her with the Father's love and the non-emotional love, sometimes that causes conflict. This is about to be the counseling session show. Sorry, guys.
That's fine, yeah.
So as we grow as men
Shoot the child.
into more of a, as we grow as men.
Don't shoot the child.
Yeah, please.
He said, shoot the child.
You about to get canceled. So as we grow out of the fallen state into more of the Father's love for our families, our wives, and our families, sometimes the relationship between a husband and wife, that may spark some sort of conflict in that because it doesn't look like the old emotional kind of love that relationship kind of started with.
It doesn't feel like it either.
No, the feelings actually start coming down.
Yeah.
And a normal woman will be like, the feelings coming down, what's going on?
Yeah.
But the man is
You say a
growing
normal
out of
woman?
it. Yeah.
An abnormal woman.
No, the standard, most women.
But
Not
they're
all,
abnormal.
not all, but most women think like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's abnormal.
But that's abnormal. You're right about that. That's not the way it should be.
Right.
So in my marriage, what I found is what I'm working on is just ignoring her and focusing on connecting with the Father so that he can lead me in the right way that I'm supposed to be, despite who's happy with me.
That's right.
And that's
right
it.
On.
And then it gets
100.
better as a result of that.
Yeah. And if she said, oh, I'm leaving and going back to Europe or England. Okay, bye.
Oh, bye.
Yeah.
And the
I'm
queen
packing-
dead, so who you going back to? She dead.
I'm packing my bags. I'm taking the kids. Okay, you want me to help you pack? Okay.
I think at first when we were dealing with that, like everything else, when you was initially being introduced, it takes me a little while to like get used to it. So I do think that what he's saying is correct as regards to seeing like the true real love and not the emotional love.
Yes.
And I have to make sure that I'm responding in the right way, because sometimes I'm like, what's going on? Like, why this or why that? And not getting upset about it.
Let me tell you one thing about that while we're there. It's not you saying that.
Yeah, it's not me, yeah.
It's not you saying that to you, and you think it's you.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then if you believe it, then you start feeling fear or anger. Yeah, what's going on? And then the moment you start to look at it, Satan will show you something else that's wrong.
Mhm.
Oh, he's cheating on you. or he's this and he's that, and then you fall for that lie. And while you're falling for one lie, he'll throw another lie in there, and now you want to kill him.
I wouldn't go that far, but sure. But I understand, like, and I think that's something that I'm now realizing, that the love that he's giving me now is the true love, it's the
Yes.
real love, and it's the non-emotional. And, you know, when you go out on dates and stuff, all the, some of the emotional stuff, you know, is there, but like the day-to-day non-judgmental doesn't hold resentment or grudges against me, and we're able to just have conversations about things rather than...
Yes. When you say go out on dates, you mean when you were dating?
No, like, you know, like how married couples try and go out on dates here and there when they can, especially when they've got kids. It's difficult.
What do you mean go out? How you going to go on a date with your husband? You already got him.
Well, you know what I mean. Oh, okay. Like, I'm about to give a line.
What does
You
that
know,
mean?
like, if we go out for dinner, right, we get some us time, adult time, where we're not talking about business and we're not talking about kids, but we're talking about, hey, how are you?
You just going out for dinner. You ain't going on no date.
Okay, but we class it as a date, right?
Oh, that feel better, huh? Oh, he dated me.
Okay, well, we're going out for dinner then.
It's all ego. You just going out for dinner.
We're having adult time is what I
Right,
mean.
but don't call it a date.
Don't call it a
It
date?
just builds the ego. Because if he doesn't date you, now you're mad. You used to take me out when we were mad on dates. That idea come from the world too. Wow. It's another idea.
Oh,
And if next month he doesn't take you out, and next month you used to take me on a date, or when you tell other ladies about it, oh, my husband take me on dates when we were married. Make your husband take you out on dates. Wow.
Okay, so we should call it an outing.
Just a dinner.
We're going for dinner.
Going hiking. We went hiking, or we went to dinner, or we went to visit the family. You ain't got to put all the emotional title onto it.
Okay, but my point was is that when you do go out for dinner,
Yeah.
right, and I'll call it a dinner from now on, when we do go out for dinner, is that time where you're able to go out and actually spend quality time with the person that you do care about, and not be talking about business and kids, and you're actually able to spend some connective time together. Some of those emotional feelings of being connected are built in spending that quality time, whether it's hiking, running, doing
What's
whatever.
the difference? And I understand what you said. I've heard that before.
Mm.
What's the difference between quality time at home with your children than quality time at dinner?
Well, we have quality time as a family all the time, but
Right.
your marriage should be husband and wife first, and then children, because that was the order that God gave us, right?
But aren't you getting that all the time? That should be a
Yeah.
way of life.
It is a way of life. It is a completely way of life for us, but I'm saying we
But
don't...
once
all-
you get married, the children come before you.
The children come before who?
The children come before the husband, and the children come before the wife. Because now you got to be an example for them.
Hang on
You
a
don't
minute.
want all this attention on you.
Hang on a minute. So you're saying that my children should come before my husband?
Yes.
See, I don't know if I agree with that, because I don't think that's the order to my memory.
But you've already completed the order. You got married, and you made babies. Now you have to
Yeah,
watch
but
over
that's
the
like
children.
those women that put their son or their
But I don't mean like an ego way. Meaning that
you know, cooking, cleaning, caring for
Yeah,
them,
you
making
don't
sure they're
want-
going to
you don't-
classes, whatever. Yeah, but he should always, in my opinion, should always come first.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Come first how? You know what you mean?
Yes.
How should you come first?
She's meaning that she's never going to allow the children to, or her life, or anything that's going on with her, not wow, allow her to do what I'm asking her to do, or she's never going to put something else in place above where I should be in her life as regards to the order of God. That's what
But
she means.
if the husband desires something like that, that means something missing in him.
Well, I'm just talking about as regards to how Christians are taught these days.
Christians are crazy. That's
You're
why
right.
Christian marriages don't work today.
Yeah, you got a point.
Because I know now because I just counseled with a couple like that. The wife got mad at the husband because the husband is not doing all that with her now, and she's mad about it. like
that
something
again,
is missing, rather than overcoming the thing that's missing in her. Because when you have real love, I'm telling you, when you have real love, that non-emotional love, there's nothing missing. And so when you put the children first, you're not going to even notice you put the children first. You're just not thinking about yourself or thinking about him in that way. But yet the love is there. You've already got the love, but nothing is missing. So you don't think about, oh, I put my husband first.
No, I
or
don't go
my
around
wife
thinking
first.
about I put my husband first. Of course not. I give my kids the best of what I can to the
But you give that to
information-
the husband too, naturally.
Yeah.
You treat everybody the same.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
There's no, God treats us all the same. Everybody treated the same. He's not have one little love for the wife, one little love for the husband, one little love for the children. It's all the same. The love is always the same. You treat your enemy the same.
Okay.
Either you have love or you don't. And if you don't love all, you love none. His love doesn't go based on anything. It doesn't go up and down, and it's not based on anything. You know what I mean? I know this is a hard concept because we've been trained to be the other way. I totally understand it. I totally understand. And that's where the problem, that's why you're having so many problems. You've been trained this emotional fake love and attention and blah, blah, blah. And that's why there's a mess. I saw this hand first. Did I see your hand a while back? Or did I? Me. Oh, okay. All right. And then I come.
I want to ask, what do you think about having enjoyable routines?
As long as you don't get a sense of identity from it. I like working out. I enjoy it, right? But if I don't work out, I ain't gonna freak out. I'm not gonna let the devil tell me, oh, you didn't work out today, you're gonna get fat. And then I gotta set something else aside to make sure I go work out. I can take it or leave it. So, but when I do work out, I enjoy it. When I go hiking sometimes, I enjoy it. But I don't get a sense of identity from it. And that's what husbands and wives and friends and things are doing. They're getting and mothers do with their children, they're getting a sense of identity from it. And when it doesn't go their way, they want to kill themselves or the children.
I wonder if...
that makes sense? You said no?
If Tuesday was a good movie day because it's cheaper, and I'm going to the movies on Tuesday, I wonder if I'm doing it for the right reasons, you know.
If you're going there to save money, yes. But you're not getting a sense of identity from it.
Okay. Okay.
It's practical. If I could get a car wash on Tuesday because it's a little cheaper, I'm going to go get the car wash. But I'm not going to say, oh, I'm poor, I'm this and I'm that. Poor me, I got to get a cheap car wash.
Or make an identity about doing it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just being reasonable in a practical way. Amazing, huh?
Thank you, Jesse.
Let me take here and then you. And the time is up. Yes.
So I've heard you say that, and now that I've heard that conversation with the woman over there, God over man, man over woman, woman over children. So how does that square with that discussion that we just had, in which you mentioned that post-marriage, it's children first? So I'm just trying to understand that.
When I say children first, I mean the husband and wife, the father and the mother should be so selfish that they put each other before the children.
Okay.
You know, you got to satisfy me first. You know, you got to take me to dinner. You got to take me this, right? But because they have the right kind of love, their order is still there. They don't resent one another. They don't have that emotional need for one another. So the order of God is still there, especially the order of God is there then. But when you feel like you got to meet each other's emotional need, then the order of God is not there.
Understood.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing, huh? You had your hand a while back, right?
It's fine.
No, I can take it now.
It wasn't a question, I was just going to add into the...
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It's hard to remember.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was just about them wanting to multiply, with the order of, how like man and woman, and then
That's
they go
why you
forth
have
and
to do
multiply.
it while you're somewhere in that fallen state, real fast in that fallen state. Have all the babies you can make, and then stop it.
Well, and I wanted to say, because in the garden, when man and woman was created in the garden, they were immortal because they had the tree of life. It wasn't until the
What?
fallen state. They were immortal because they had the tree of life.
Right.
Until they fell. And then that's when they had to now procreate because there was death.
Well, that's why God allowed them to fall.
Yeah.
He allowed that to happen for that reason.
Mm-hmm. So I just
But
wanted
then
to,
he allowed them to get married, have some babies, and then they stop it and come back to the Father.
Exactly.
Because that stuff is just emotional stuff. It's not love. Yes. Now listen, don't let the devil try to make you think you understand this. Don't either see it or don't see it, right? Don't accept it just because I'm saying it. You got to see it for yourself. And you're going to see, if you stay on that straight and narrow path, our ego is a mess. The ego is all evil, and it runs deep into the imagination and into the emotions. And then we've been fed that stuff, which added to the ego. How do you not believe that? That's not true. Everybody else doing it. It must be true, but it's not. Yes, sir.
I can remember in my younger days being exactly like that, being hungry and just having a desire. And now that I look back, it was all wrong, all bad, and every woman that I picked was mad and crazy. And I was drawn to that, and if I got married, I'd be in total 100% hell, like my friends are that are married.
But don't call it,
My friends.
don't call it wrong or right. Don't put a title on it. You want to be able to see. And then seeing, you see about you, and right will happen. Don't put a title on it, because if you call it right or wrong, then if you call it wrong, now you're going to try to make it right. And if you call it right, now you're going to make it wrong. Don't have an opinion about it. You just want to be able to see, sit in judgment of self. And in sitting in judgment of self, all you're really seeing is not you. And as you're seeing the not you, you're overcoming that. And then you will have life. It's nothing like what you can even imagine. So that's what I'm telling you. Whatever thought you have about life, don't believe it. All thoughts about anything, except practical thing, is a lie. All thoughts. That's why you got to go to hell before you can go to heaven. You have to let this whole thing just die. That's why when situations happen, let them happen. Spiritual situations, let them happen. Don't fight with the devil. Yes.
So I can kind of look at it from a different perspective now. The first commandments, married husband and wife, be fruitful, multiply, that kind of thing. But, just reading the Bible further on, it says there's only one commandment that you need to follow. There's only one thing you need to do. It's to love the Father with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. And the second commandment,
along with nothing else or nobody else,
is to love,
not even your own life,
is to love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yeah.
And so that overrides everything, getting married and having kids. That's the eventually you'll discover that you need to love the Father with all your heart and soul and
Absolutely.
might, with everything in you, and not holding back. So
Yeah. You don't say it's possible not to do what?
I don't see how it's possible not to do those things, because whatever you do, I feel like you're automatically doing those things, loving God with all your heart, all your mind, and I don't know the precise scripture, but I feel like whatever you do, you're already following those rules, because that's just how it works.
But when you get angry, you're not following those rules.
I mean, God created created us, and however we act, I feel like we're already following the rules. I feel like we're already following the rules. I mean,
Father, what rules are you following when you get angry at your fellow man or yourself? Which rules are you following then?
well, that's your mind. Your mind's angry. Your heart, you have
And your
anger.
mind is of what?
Your mind is sinning, or you could call
It's
it
of the devil.
Yeah, but that's what your mind's of. And I feel like you're still following the two rules, because your mind is of that.
But you only want to follow the one rule. You can't follow two rules. You can't serve two masters.
But how can you not follow the rule? I mean, it's your heart and mind, and
what happens is, in closing, what happens when you see that you're wrong for being angry, because anger is evil, is judgment, then God would change the heart from hate to love. And then you will grow and grow in that love, and you start seeing other things that you thought was right that's not right, that you identify with, and those things will be taken away from you. But you need the change of heart first. Salvation is of the heart. And then you have the power to overcome anything. And it's not your power, but the power of God in you. All right? Did you have your hand? And then the last word here.
I just wanted, because it's funny that you say some of those things, because I know, like, looking back at when I got married, and she was talking about young people getting married, totally wrong.
Yeah.
Because now, if I knew, you always hear this, if I knew then what I know now, it would have, things would have been so different.
Yes.
So that's all I was saying.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Last word.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
But I think what Francisco reminded me of when he said he would have been married and catching hell like everyone else. I think you only catch hell if you live by those standards that you said, the ego, the expectations,
Absolutely.
the desires, the wants.
And every human being live that way until they overcome.
Right.
Not one. I don't care how much money, where they live, what color, male or female. Everyone is born into that fallen state.
Yeah.
That's why everyone that's born of the flesh must be born of the Spirit of the Father. There's not one that avoids it, not one. Not even the Pope. And the Pope is 10.
I know when you've achieved that?
You will know, but don't think about knowing when you achieve it. You will know. You will know God. You will literally know God. Just like you know the devil now, and you're calling him you will know God. And that's what you want. You want to know God. It's like the Christians when they go down to the front of the church and they say, oh, I believe Jesus, Lord and Savior. And somebody else, and he died and rose for me. They don't believe, they don't know God. They just believe intellectually. And they don't know because they don't examine themselves to overcome the not them, right? And so they know God, they're waiting to go to heaven, but they're cruel, and they're mean, and they're angry, and they're jealous, and they're envious, and all kind of mess. Because they just believe and left it at that, and that's not real, that's not knowing. And nothing changes. And now they justify their cruel behavior. Well, when I die, I'm going to heaven. Okay. I wouldn't take that risk. Last word, Hassan.
So, first of all, that was like the most amazing conversation.
love
That
nice
was like
talking.
unreal.
Yeah.
So, kind of just quickly in that, if, let's just say, I know what if, but let's just say that the man overcomes, goes on a narrow road, lets the ego die, all this stuff, and the woman does too, sorta. Is it possible
When
that...
I think about this couple, because they both are working on it, the kids are blessed. And they are too. Because if one worked on it but the other one didn't, the other would be gone. They'll be giving it, the ones that work, whether it's the man or the woman, they'll be giving the other one hell. You don't love me. You used to let me, I used to control you. They won't say that out loud. But because they both are working on it, it can't get any better than that.
Oh, and no, trust me, they will say it out loud. But So if that is, though, is it then possible? I know you say that you'll have perfect peace and there will be no reason to then get married and have the children, but you weren't even here. But is it possible to have Jesus?
What?
Like, would you have like a Jesus level kid?
What's a Jesus love kid?
Like, if you did it perfect.
But Jesus' love is God's love.
No,
Jesus got his love from the Father.
Right. So if the man has the love of the Father, he's born again, and the woman is, and they still get married, even though they won't be yearning for it, they'll just do it because it happens. Would that kid possibly be like Jesus level?
Oh, you're saying that, to use the term if, and I don't like using if either, right? Yeah. But you're saying if a man and a woman got together and they already had perfect peace, and they got married and made children, would the kids have perfect peace? It'd be like Jesus? Yeah, but it ain't gonna happen like that. Because if they already have perfect peace, then there's nothing to draw you together to want to get married.
But let's just say, kind of like in the conversation, that
that's why they work it out in marriage, because they have to have that emotional stuff to make them get married, to cause them to be attracted to one another.
So say a kid.
And so once they get together and they make all the babies like they have done, right? And now they're working on overcoming. But what they don't know yet, well, it sounds like the husband may know, is all that emotional stuff is falling away. And they're not going to treat each other like that eventually. But yet they're going to treat each other with perfect love.
So say like a kid sees their parents be the perfect example. They see that, they're not yearning for anything. It's a perfect example. They grow up and they just do that example of the perfect.
Oh, you're saying that. I don't know what you're saying.
Like, it makes sense what I'm saying, right?
But look, may I just use your family for a minute? They got married in the fallen state, right? But now they're together, they both are working on overcoming the fallen state. And if they should stay with that, then the kids will overcome their fallen state, because the kids are in a fallen state already because of the anger that they have, the irritations and things, right? And that happened when they was in the fallen state, right? And so now, but if they stay with it, and they're gonna see how to treat the kids in a perfect way, and the kids will hopefully overcome that anger, overcome that fallen state. And so that they probably wouldn't want to get married, but if they got married, they'll be fine. I think that's what you mean. I hope that answered that.
Yeah.
But no one get married in a fallen state. I mean, no one get married in the perfect state. It doesn't happen in the perfect. Yeah, because what draws them together is the imperfect state, the emotion. Because once the heart changes from anger to love, then the love is going to destroy the darkness. The light will destroy the ego, and the ego is all about self. It's an emotional state about self. But when you overcome that, you're no longer about self.
So once you come out of the fallen state, nobody's getting married.
No.
My question was,
that's why God let the fallen state happen, because if he had not let it happen, Adam and Eve would have never made any children at all. Because they would have had
what you're saying,
love.
I think it's true, because it does say in the scripture that once we get to the next realm, that there'll be no marriage.
So what now?
There'll be no marriage. It says in the Bible.
Right.
So I think what you're saying is
That's
true.
right.
I don't understand it, but
That's
I think
perfect.
it's true.
Once you rise above that fallen state, there's no more marriages. Isn't that something? That's deep. That's true. That's in the Word. It is true. It's totally true. What? Oh, okay. Right here, real fast. And nobody else.
What you just said was mind-blowing. God allowed the fallen state to happen.
He did.
So we could procreate.
If
and
God
have
had not
children.
wanted the fallen state to happen, it wouldn't have happened.
Because it's a necessary evil.
Yes.
So then God says, go, you're going to fall. That's why he said, you die so you can rise.
Yes. He made it, he allowed the fallen state death thing to happen, but he also allowed the risen thing to happen. Isn't that deep? That's amazing. If we were in a black church, we'd be dancing. The organ would be playing, and the preacher would be whooping and hollering now. Amazing. But anyway, I got to end. Thank you all. Get on that straight and narrow. Stay there. I don't care what happens. Stay on that straight and narrow. Become your own man, your own woman. And it's amazing. Do the silent prayer and watch so that you can descend into hell and rise. All right? No matter what happens, don't judge, don't hate. Just keep that straight and narrow. Thank you for your support. If you want counseling, we have the best counseling service. What else?
Men's Forum.
Men's Forum. This is the first Thursday coming up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So men's meeting men's forum this Thursday night at 7 p.m. All right? And Hate is working on it. He'll be back soon, I hope. What else? That's it. Thank you all. We'll reach the super chats tomorrow. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.